Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mad Rome's Vote to Kick. I'm your host, Malthanis, and with me, I've got Dayo. How you doing, buddy?
Good, ready to talk about our topic. I'm gonna win. I don't think I won last time.
Uh, I think it was relatively even last time, but I'm not 100% sure. But before we get to the idea of multiple guilds, let's talk about our discussion from last week. As you can see over there, Keep very much won. Granted, there were only 6 votes. It was kind of I could have found a better way to phrase the question. It was about the concept of iconic games and how they affect everything around them. And the one vote for Kick was mine.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm really not. I fully expected to get the boot on that one, but as you do. So, now that we've got that handled, we can just go ahead and go right on over to the main poll, and then we can go ahead and pull the poll up in chat. And if you missed the poll, just go ahead and exclamation point poll.
You can do that fancy type in exclamation mark poll. That's awesome.
I keep thinking I need to put like a label over by the pie chart.
Yeah, we might have to add that to the overlay or something just so people can see it.
But we're talking about having multiple guilds in a game. Now, generally speaking, this is going to apply primarily to MMOs or MMO light games. Your Destinies, your Fallout 76s. I don't know.
I don't know if they have
systems.
a guild system or not.
It's like not like anybody really plays it. So,
I was thinking more out of they don't have much systems in their game at all.
well, that's also true. Primarily, me and Dayo are coming from perspective of Guild Wars 2, where as an account, you can be part of 5 separate guilds. Now, you don't necessarily you can only represent one guild at a time, but you can have a PvP guild, a farming guild, a WVW guild. This is World versus World for those of you who don't play. It's several hundred people all fighting at the same time, as opposed to small groups of people for PvP. And then there's a music guild, because there are musical instruments in the game that are like toy items. And there is I think it's the Tyrian Musician Society, and it's all people who like to play the instruments that are in the game. So that's the design in Guild Wars 2, is that you can have multiple guilds. Now, I'm going to take it over to Dayo, who is arguing Kick, because guest rights. So go right ahead, Dayo.
All right. Well, I think kick multi-guild systems just because all they turn out to be are glorified like friends list groupings. Like if they had a robust friends list where you could just group people into that, it would serve the same purpose. Like because like you said, oh, I have a guild for there's some specialty ones of, this is a music playing guild, but you have ones that are just we're strictly raiders, at least in Guild Wars 2. We're strictly World v World, we're strictly like this, and then you have the PVX ones. But and trust me, coming from like I remember leading up to launch, and they were like multi guilds, and I was like, oh my god, this can be amazing. I can have like my friends in there, and and I even had the mentality they could still have their raiding guild, but they could still be in our guild, and then kind of make doing GBN and stuff and being an officer for that. I don't know. Personally, for me, I like the single guild idea just because I know where someone stands. Because people tend to be polite, which is a good thing. But it's like, I think it takes a lot longer for someone to just be like, start trimming the fat of like, oh, well, I don't do much in that guild anyway, so I'll leave that guild. It just, and for example, not just Guild Wars 2, like ESO, that's one of the Elder Scrolls Online for people that don't know. That's one of the games, like it annoys me in there too, because you kind of have the same thing. We have Cyrodiil, which is World v World. But they also have a trading merchant system, basically think of an auction house per guild, but you have to go buy the stalls in the certain towns and stuff. So there's competition for that, which not a fan of. But then there's strictly these are trading guilds. It's like, once again, you're doing it. It's like, couldn't you just made an auction house system? Like, I mean, yeah, they wanted to make a design decision of kind of making competition there. That's fine, but I don't know. Once again, it's like it's a selective thing that just I feel could just be achieved by having groups and friends lists.
Well, I suppose the thing there, specifically talking about the whole trading guild mentality, where there is no auction house and it's all a player based economy. I mean, I can kind of understand that because it kind of gives more. I just completely lost the word.
Control over like the
Yeah, it gives agency. It gives more agency to the player base because then the players control the economy. So, and generally speaking, people are much better at reacting to things than systems because systems can only react within the bounds of what they've been programmed to react with. And generally speaking, I'm going to say kick. For the most part, I am or keep.
I was just saying,
Yeah,
there you go, everybody.
I know.
Everybody
It's
just
like Dayo wins. I agree with him. No, I'm gonna say keep, but that's more so because I have yet to see like the harm necessary in it. I kind of agree with Dayo in that it kind of becomes a glorified friends list. I have all 5 guilds filled up in Guild Wars 2. The only one I ever rep is the Talking Scrit / Mad Realms Guild, Knights of the Doliac, mostly because I'm the guild leader, so I kind of feel like if I'm not repping the guild that I'm the guild leader of, I'm doing it wrong.
and see, I had that mentality when I was, running that guild, which, like I said at the time, was the GBN one. I only had two. That one, and basically the one I had at launch because I wasn't in that during launch, because I don't think GBN was a thing till after. But
Right.
I didn't want to lose the guild name that I originally had, just in case whatever happened. But because I had followers of the Great Dwarf, I wasn't giving that up so someone could just take it.
That's
But
fair.
it had like that one is a glorified playlist. It was like just or friends list. It had like a couple of my friends I played at launch with, but like really didn't do anything with it. I think I used it to test some things to play around with their roster system, which once again that's a different that doesn't really have to do with the multi guild system. But
Right. Now,
yeah, I repped the one guild because my mentality is if like you said, you feel obligated to if you're running it. It's kind of like lead by example. But my mentality is if I'm what could I do differently to keep a person that's maybe considering going to that guild? Like what are they doing differently? Like I don't know. I use it to challenge myself, and I think you can do that better with one guild than with multiple guilds. And I don't know. It just seems like everything becomes more wishy washy.
right, and that's fair. And I think in the case of Guild Wars 2, it's a lack of guild centric content that
Yeah, that doesn't help
kind
Guild
of
Wars 2.
that kind of makes it a glorified friends list because if you want a guild to be impactful and then also offer you have to offer meaningful things that allow progression in where that guild is trying to focus. Now you're talking about those trading stalls that people have to buy in cities.
I want
I,
to say I think those ones are the more I don't want to say tight knit just because they do cost money and have like like they basically commonly will have like a you have to pay us X amount or make so many uh cells in a month or whatever
right, you have to show a
so they
certain
can
amount
make
of
the
income.
money.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where it's like you have to purchase a place to sell your goods in that game, like
Mhm.
physically that other players can interact with, which means that your guild is having a tangible effect on the world that other players outside of your guild can see. That is meaningful guild content. Now, to take Guild Wars 2 as an example, they gave us guild halls. Now, the only problem with the guild halls is there is literally nothing meaningful about the guild hall because you can do the progression, you can donate all the stuff for it, but once it's done, it's done. And also, everyone else has access to the exact same things. You don't get anything special because you raid. You don't get anything special because you World v World. You don't get anything special because you PvP. Now, second, ow, sorry. Secondarily, now I know this sounds weird that it sounds like I'm arguing kick again at this point, but it depends on the systems in play. something like this, you could totally, and I'm gonna keep going back to Guild Wars 2, and I apologize for those of you who
Well, it's
just
probably one of the
step away.
more well-known games right now that
Well,
has a multi-system. That and probably ESO, I would
well,
say.
it's one of the things where it's like I can also split those five slots. It's like you've got your raiding guild, your world versus world guild, your PvP guild, and then you've got two others. But if there was some kind of meaningful progression for a guild that could only be achieved via raiding, then that guild, one, could actually show off their achievements. And I'm not talking just the guild hall decorations, because you do get items from the raids in Guild Wars 2 to display stuff, but I mean, it's just an instance. You're not affecting the world. But the secondary thing is meaningful progression in a specialization of content in the game and being able to show that progression to the greater player base, being able to have a tangible effect on the open world. That is necessary in order to make guilds actually be more than glorified friends lists. And
Hmm.
that's why I think that the problem isn't necessarily with the multi guild system. The problem is with guild systems themselves not being able to show a group's mastery to the rest of the world.
I don't know. I just for some reason, and I maybe I'm enjoying Warframe in that aspect because, like I said, I kind of know where people stand if they want to join or not. Granted, right now we're kind of trying to keep it low, just be well, we're trying to have people and kind of utilize the friends list. I know that's going to be kind of messing with that, but with Warframe, it's kind of a system which actually I prefer. It is I wish Guild Wars 2 and other games would have implemented it where with them when you make your, let's call it just a guild hall for simple terms to keep it all the same. If you under 10 people, it costs less materials to build stuff up, but you can build the same stuff up as a 500 person guild, or but if you have 500 people in your guild, it costs more. Like materials just multiplies it because you have more people in it.
Right, they scale based on your ability to acquire goods.
Yeah, I think that's a nice system for them to implement, but it's like at least we like if someone wants to be in the guild or something. I still remember when I was playing WoW, we had a group of friends that were kind of just all local, and we had like friends who we had friends of friends. So they weren't like originally in our group, but it was like, oh, this is my friend from school or blah blah blah. And so many times these people would come in, get what they wanted out of us, and then be like, well, we're going to just go raid. While we were like, they would go off and raid because we were trying to build up a core group to raid with. But since we already helped them and they were taking too long, or we were taking too long getting other people, it's like, well, I'm just going to go off and do it myself, and then they would never come back. It's like they left the guild. We already know that. With kind of multi guilds, it's like they're still on the list, and it's like, so do you want to, you might keep. I know as being an officer and stuff like that, you're kind of like, hey, are you gonna like just whisper them like, hey, we're having an event or something. Would you want to come? And it's like, and they just ignore you or something. It's like, just just leave it if you don't like
Yeah.
want to be in it. Like,
Yeah, I get it.
and that makes it happen if there's only one guild. And I don't know. I just remember from WoW and stuff like that and other guilds or games that had one guild. Like I said, I think that's why I try to bring my mentality with that to Guild Wars 2 when we were doing GBN stuff was trying to make it a place for everyone. Like if you want to entice people, you have to adapt other things and maybe have more people in charge to do other, aspects of the game. But like, it's like, I remember with WoW, it's like when it was just our friends and stuff, it felt like a family, and whoever we brought in, it felt even more like a family. It's like, I don't know if I get that much in the multi guild system because people can kind of just be like, well, I only use you guys for world bosses or, whatever the topic, like whatever the task is.
It starts to sound like it's utilizing a tool as opposed to a group of people building something up.
Yeah.
That, and I can't disagree with that. I know exactly what you mean for stuff in World of Warcraft because I started trying to raid back in the Burning Crusade days when attunements were a thing, and that was why nobody does attunements anymore. Pour one out for Wildstar. Um, Oh, wait, no, it was hashtag poor Wildstar. That was the talking squid meme. Um, Attunements were you basically had to complete quests before you could get into a raid, and you'd have people completing the attunements, and then you'd have a gap of time waiting for other people before you can get a full raid team together. And then the people who were already ready would be like Go Guy from Krendor's videos, who was like, "Screw this, it's taking too long," and bounce to another
Yeah, it's
guild
like
that
we
already
didn't
had
mind when we were trying to help you, but it's like,
exactly. So it is a malicious revolving door, and that tended to be a problem with one of our last spots in World of Warcraft when we were trying to raid with our circle of friends, as we had like 8 or 9 solid people. So, but then that last slot, we could never find someone who was willing to just chill and just hang
yeah,
out.
and kid, I'll even say, like I said at the beginning, like I said, coming from WoW and all that stuff, like I said, that situation that happened where like these were supposed to be kind of our good friends, like one set moved, and then they became our good friend when we started playing with them, and then they were like, well, I want to raid, so instead of waiting for you guys and kind of working together as a group, they walked off. That's more on their character. Like that's not like an every person situation, but at least they were gone out of the picture type thing. It's like, okay, that sucked. Lick our wounds, focus on the thing. I think in multi guild systems, people can hide more in that and go, well, I'm going to look, I'll look for another guild, maybe run with them while still maintain like being in this guild once they get their act together. It's like,
Right.
but yeah, I was a fan. When I heard Guild Wars 2 was have multi guild systems, I was like, yes, this is great. And then as being an officer, I'm like, it is really hard to keep people.
It's and honestly, I definitely think that it's a design decision that was made to keep people from feeling hurt. Like it's
Yeah.
so I talked before about having no tangible effect on the world. There is no way for you to show players that are not in your guild how cool of a guild you are, just in a serious, tangible manner. Because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, we've got all these guild weapons from the guild halls, like these unique skins from these guild halls, but you can just join a guild that already has them unlocked, buy them all, and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really no prestige there. And I think that design decision was made in order to not have people feel like they're missing out on something when you kind of need to, because there needs to be a way, and I hate quoting EA on this, there needs to be a sense of pride and accomplishment. Don't roast me
So,
on this.
so we put it in a loot box?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. So,
Actual pride and
oh,
accomplishment. Not throw your wallet at the screen pride and accomplishment. There needs to be stuff that is locked behind some kind of concerted effort to show that you have the capability to do the thing as a group. That people can't just buy their way into and then leave. So that's like those. I would imagine there are hostile takeovers of those trade stalls in ESO, right? Like people probably sit waiting for like contracts to
I was gonna say,
expire.
I think because when it resets, like I'm pretty sure people like sit there camping ready for like, but I think it's like it might at this point be one of those like understood things of like, don't go taking certain people's spot, like,
Right.
yeah,
But
but
it's one of those things where it like the opportunity for
yeah.
upset is there. It's when I came from playing EVE Online, where
Oh,
a large amount of the entire economy is player driven. Hell, game events are player driven. Control over space is player driven. There were like there's
heard.
corporate espionage. There was a guy who flipped, and since there is a way to convert real world money into in-game currency and back again, a guy embezzled $40,000 worth of money or worth of in-game goods from an entire corporation just dipped. And the devs were like, yeah, that was pretty impressive. And it's one of those things where it's like, there are corporations who would love to have that guy on their team, but it also creates the tension of, is he just going to do that to us? So this kind of safe design of not wanting for people to feel left out or alienated, it also kind of removes the individuality to it, where an individual guild cannot actively express what this group is. Now, granted, in Guild Wars 2, with the relatively robust gear with the cosmetic system, that can be alleviated to a bit, because you can all make sure that everybody has farmed up a certain set of gear, or at the very least has a certain set of colors. But that might just mean that you have a lot of people throwing money at the gem store to get unique colors. But
Yeah, I'm not sure how they could figure out how to make it prestigious so you'd want to stick to one guild. But honestly, kind of hitting the topic of Guild Wars 2, but I would say I think Guild Wars 1 had a good middle of the road type thing, because, and granted, it wasn't there at like they were at the first launch, but they had guilds. I think it only fit like 100 people. I'm not sure. Or it had a finite amount where I know people were having multiple guild. Like this was like, I remember there was like the Kiss Guild, and then there was like Kiss Guild 1, Kiss Guild 2, like, so they, because it was like a big community kind of thing. But eventually they came out with factions, with chat alliances, which was like, these are, and the bigger guild, the like that Kiss Guild, I think it was, would combine theirs. But there was like, I think that's a good way to have this specificity. There we go. I think I got there. But saying like, hey, you know, we tend to focus on this kind of stuff. We try to do everything, but we kind of focus on this kind of stuff more so. Hey, this is our sister guild, or, you know, however you want to call it. That is our, you know, if you want a World v. World, hang out with these people too. They know their World v. World stuff, and they'll run with you. Like, I mean, you kind of did. I remember doing that in like WoW, just from talking with people back and forth. I don't know if they ever came up with a system for that, but you know, Guild Wars 1 kind of had that implemented, and I'd like to see them do it more. And hopefully, if they do alliances, you know, they'll do more of that. But okay, yeah, I know there was a couple out there that kind of were like.
I'm not familiar with that acronym. Or is that just a guild tag?
I think that was just a guild tag.
Okay.
But by the sounds of it, probably sounds like a pirate type guild.
A little bit.
But yeah.
So basically, what you're saying is you could have not only guild halls but alliance halls.
Well, I don't think they had alliance halls, but I don't remember what the extent of like the alliances were. But it is one of those things.
Now, I'm talking from like an ideal system, not necessarily one that's already implemented.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, geez, I would love if they had maybe alliance halls, or, you know, to build on that. Maybe
it's one of those things where I kind of look at stuff where, now again, going back to Guild Wars 2, there is the Mists, which is basically the hand wavy magic place where anything can happen in the Guild Wars 2 in the Guild Wars continuity. Don't give me that eye roll. You know that's exactly what it's for.
Oh, no, I know. It's the catch-all, that with dragon magic.
Right. We could totally do player housing where you could go to a guild hall that is a trade guild hall, and you could trade with that guild hall with NPCs that are set up as vendors based on what the guild sets their item list to be.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean that that trading guild has a tangible effect on the world.
And if they want to get the nostalgia rolling, just be like, oh, we opened up a part of the Mist, and it takes you back to Guild Wars 1 Commodon, which was Spamadon, basically, because that just became one of the
that's
trading.
The other thing is that also becomes player housing that is visible to the greater world. That you have a guild hall, like our guild halls right now. Yeah, they can be customized, but you have to be invited in. You have to be in. You can't even be invited in. You have to join the guild and then go into the guild hall. I can't remember if you can go into a guild hall when you're not part of the guild. I don't think
I
you have the
don't.
capability.
Well, I think you can join if they're in the party with you.
Okay, so like you could totally have a party in your guild hall, but you have to do all this wonky bullshit of getting people in. Now,
Yeah.
if you had some kind of like a surrogate dialer and somebody has a section of their guild hall set as open, it's just boop boop walk through a portal.
That would be cool.
So it's one of those things where I do not think the multi-guild system in any game that implements it is problematic. I think that the problem arises when guilds aren't something that can be built up to be special. When the
Mhm.
group of people is literally just the glorified friends list, like you were saying, why should anyone bother, forming more than a base layer group of kind of attachment to the people that you talk to? So,
True. I mean, and granted, and I mean, I guess you can vouch for it. Is like when I try to do the GBN stuff, like I'm very much. I come from WoW with it. I kind of made my own fun, or our group made our own fun,
yeah.
and I did a lot of events for GBN and stuff, and maybe someday when there's time we'll revisit some. And I know Tavik played a bunch of them, but I remember in WoW, and like that's where our fun was we were just like I remember one day we just mainly did a romp through Azeroth because one day we were just like I think it started in Tarn Mill because of course Tarn Mill South Shore
Everywhere.
debacle.
Yep.
Yeah, we killed their flight masters. We're like, let's continue. So we just got on our mounts, and this was in the days before flying mounts. We just all create a convoy, went down. Our rules, we had strict rules. We said we go in, clear all the NPCs out, kill the flight masters. If someone flies in, we take them out, we move on. We don't stick around. We don't wait. But it was like we made a night out of it where we just went through the whole continent and confused the heck out of the Alliance.
Yeah. No, it didn't confuse anybody in the Alliance. They knew what was going on.
Yeah, see, and Tavik's bring up Ettenball and stuff like that, and yeah, it was. And I think
Ettenball
that
was fun, yeah.
is just coming up with ideas and also not being afraid to be like, because I think there was a couple times where we had an event and it was like, no, this isn't really panning out, and people added ideas and it made it like, what was it, Find Dayo or something became a popular thing, which
Yeah. Well, then there was the nights where we just all ended up somehow in ore, just rolling around doing events for no, and we would all just stop. There would be a moment like an hour and a half in, and we'd all just kind of be like, "Why are we in ore again?"
And then we look at the map and it's like, why have we just done the same circle
Yeah,
like 3 times, and there's like still like a bunch of the map to do.
yeah, and it's one of those things where, like that's my issue is like the guilds aren't something you can build up in a meaningful way, and that removes a lot of the fun, I want to say, in guilds. I'll admit I've been getting into a lot of isekai anime and manga of the I am suddenly in a game world along with all of these other people, and like Log Horizon is a fantastic anime that I highly recommend, and people kind of blip into this game and they're like, holy shit, and then they actually have guilds and stuff, and there are trading guilds and there are farming guilds and there are PvP guilds, and the secondary issue there is the fact that people can die.
Oh, I'll have to check it out because maybe because I play games, like I always I enjoyed Sword Art Online, and I like that concept where it's like, oh, I'm being judged.
Oh no, I watched Sao. For the longest time, I saw a lot of stuff as like Sao is terrible, and I'm just like, I've never actually watched it, and then I watched it, and I'm like, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's not bad.
The second one I was like, nah, on, but maybe because I'm like at the time I was like, high fantasy type thing. I don't know, I just like the idea, but yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I have to check out some of the other ones that are out there.
But it's you see in those genres that guilds are so much more, but they don't have systems behind them. It's literally just what the people want to do with the guild. It's
Yeah.
choosing to do a thing and working together to do that thing and having a tangible effect on the world around you as a group. And I think I don't know if devs are either afraid to do that or if they don't have the technology to do that.
That, and I don't well, I think it's also on the community as well. Like I think a lot of MMO players, even though they're I mean, I've always heard that big debate, like going back to like Game Breaker days, and I'm sure Mike Burns still gets asked about it, but like people always rag on like get on him about like saying how he plays MMOs kind of with single player in mind, and a lot of people do, especially I would say especially with Guild Wars 2. I've seen that more and more so, and some people being worried about it, but that it kind of feels more of like a single player experience in an open multiplayer world.
Playing what was it? What did you call it in the single player content vote to kick? Playing
Uh,
adjacent to each other.
oh yeah, yeah.
So
But it was kind of funny when you're saying that, like that people just kind of naturally gather together to form a group, and that kind of spawns guilds or a guild-like mentality. I was like, weirdly, if would you consider Guild Wars 2 pugs for raids more guild-like than the actual guild system? That
if it becomes a regular group,
because yeah, there have been some that actually have done that. I
yeah,
mean,
then that's honestly a more organic, probably closer knit group.
which I think is just kind of funny because it makes me go back to thinking of them going like, right, talking about raids. Oh, you won't be able to pug it, but this is basically because I've heard a couple of those stories. I know not all of them are, but there have been ones where it's like a group just continuously plays together, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is working, and they make a
Well,
guild.
I have a story about that. Is World of Warcraft in the Firelands? My friend Troy, sorry, was my off tank, and he hit level 85. Yeah, Cataclysm was 85. He hit 85 the night we were going to raid with him as an off tank. I was just like, okay, let's go. I was like, I'm in greens. I'm like, you're fine, let's go. And one of our regular pugs was a dwarf hunter by the name of Shichika, and my our one druid called him Banana because he couldn't say Shichika, so he called him Chiquita, like the banana brand. And he whispers to me, he's like, "You know that guy's in greens, right?" Yeah, yeah, we're good. And he was totally okay with it. So we had a blast with that. So if he didn't already have a real life circle of friends that he played with, he probably would have ended up joining our guild, and we probably would have ended up hanging out online. So it's stuff like that, the relationships you build up with people. It's one of the reasons why I never understand why people who say, like, people would say that that we aren't real friends because we don't hang out in real life.
I mean, if that's the case, like I don't hang out with a lot of people in real life.
I
I
mean,
guess I have friends. Oh.
stoop kid doesn't leave his stoop, but like, it's it requires, and that's the thing is like my keep for the multi guild system is more along the lines that I don't think it's damaging because guilds aren't meaningful enough in a game to know if they're damaging. It's kind of like treating a symptom in removing them as opposed to actually treating the problem. And then Dayo's just like, yeah, but there's still a problem. So I think that's kind of where we stand on this, huh?
Yeah, honestly, and I think that's the problem. Is like I said, leading into Guild Wars 2, when they said multi guild, I was like, this is gonna be amazing. This is like so great because I think I was taking that mentality of love going into a solo like one guild, but you could do it with that with five, or everybody can have their cake and eat it too. And but like I said, going through being an officer and stuff, it's like it's really hard to keep people because they have to divide their time. It's like
Yeah.
so yeah, I am torn, but I don't know personally for me if I would like to see what Guild Wars 2 would be like the strength of a guild if it didn't have a multi-guild system, and maybe even easy. Like I would like for people to make that tough decision, but you know,
I understand.
Or seeing if it's like they could make it work. Like, oh yeah, my friend can be in it and stuff. Granted, that would have to also alleviate roster caps and stuff like that, but because that's one thing I hate about solo guilds or one guild systems was it's like, well, we can't invite your friend because we're already full. It's like, well, there's these people that haven't been on for 5 years. I Are you sure they're coming back?
Yeah.
Like,
But I think we've pretty much concluded the topic. I don't want to have us talking in circles or just reminiscing for another, half an hour. But, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Mad Realms Vote to Kick. I've been your host, Jim. You can find me on Twitter at MalfoundusMMO. You can find Vote to Kick live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/MadRealms. That's 2 A's in the Mad. Follow us on Twitter, also at Mad Realms. Same configuration of the letter A. My buddy Dayo here can be found on Twitch and Twitter and sometimes YouTube at simply_Dayo.
yes.
And jumping around with his Warframes and maybe Anthem, if Anthem is playable this weekend.
And Guild Wars 2, when there's a new story, I do my brainwave device stuff.
He spent a lot of money on that brainwave device.
Yeah.
But for those of you on Twitch, the whole follow button shenanigans, and then all of you on YouTube, the like, the comment, the subscribe, the stupid notification bell.
Make sure to hit that bell.
You practice that one.
No, I watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah, and every YouTuber dies inside a little bit more every time they have to say that. Anyway, y'all have a fantastic evening. Hope to see you all here on next Wednesday. Oh, yes, Talking Script, weekly Guild Wars 2 news podcast, Saturdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Time with Dayo and also our other co-hosts, Age and Arlie. Hope to see you all there. See you all next Wednesday. Have a fantastic evening, everybody.
Salute.